One, two, three.
3 count 4. Hello everyone, I am Be Better Gamer. Welcome to Be Better Gamer Wrestling. This channel is dedicated to my love and obsession and passion for wrestling video games. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoy it. I am playing Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, and I'm bringing you another one of my created wrestlers, and that is none other than the ace of New Japan, Hiroshi Tanahashi. One of my favorite wrestlers right now in New Japan, probably one of my favorite wrestlers in the past 10 years, and will probably go down as one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I made 4 different outfits. I am actually using the English translation patch for Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. You can patch it if you have a ROM of Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. I am actually playing this through my EverDrive, and if you click the little eye in the corner of the video, you can see another video that I made based on the English translation patch, giving you a brief description on how to set it up and what it does. If you also want the full call in terms of the moves, parameters, logic, all that stuff, you can check in the description below. I have it all typed out in a nice Google spreadsheet, so make sure you check that out if you want the full call. But right now I'm going to go into the appearance. We're going to start with head 1, face 38, hair 1, which is, I gave him the long hair, and Tanahashi has beautiful hair, so front hair 7 was the choice I went with, and facial hair 1. But there's a lot of different front hairs you can do, so many different choices, and I made his hair color brown, but sometimes he dyes it blonde, sometimes it's a mixture. He does a lot of highlights in his hair, so it's hard to get that beautiful Tanahashi hair. But for his ring attire, I did C13, which is basically Keiji Muto's attire, and the first part is white, the second part is red. Wristbands, just gave him the white wristbands. Knee pads, I gave him knee pad 7, which is also the same knee pads you would use for Keiji Muto. I went for the black design on this one, but you can also do the white design on the knee pads, which is what I'm showing you now, and I think the best knee pads for the white design would be knee pad 5. A8 were the boots that I chose, and I made both colors white. You can leave the first color default if you want. It's got a little bit of like a different tone of white, but I like keeping it just the regular. I like the other version of white, but again, you can go back and forth, and that's how I did the first attire. Second attire is his black attire, something you see a lot more recently. Usually his ring tights are a combination of red and white, but I love his black attire. I think it's so cool, and again, very simple. Just make it default color or black, it doesn't matter. And then the knee pads, you just keep it the same. Boots white, and nothing really changes but the ring tights in the second attire. The third attire is his more full red outfit, and again, both colors are red. Second one can be default also, it's still red, I don't know, it doesn't matter, but red for both color tones. And then with the knee pads as well, I changed them to red with the white lettering. But you can also do white knee pads for this one as well. I've seen him wear white knee pads when he's worn his red outfit, so you can do that too. Again, so many different ways you can make this call, not just with the hair, but also the slight variations on the tights and the knee pads. And here I actually did go with the white knee pads, so I just alternated basically the red and white from the first outfit, as you can see there, and I just alternated the colors to give him this red and white outfit. Sorry, I can't speak today, but when can I ever speak? Knee pad 5, gave him the white, but again, you can go with the bomb, red knee pads, or even black knee pads for that matter. So a few options there, a few subtle differences, and there you go. That's my Hiroshi Tanahashi CAW, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. I spent a lot of time on this, a lot of back and forth with how I wanted to do the appearance, but again, this is just how I made him. This is not the perfect way to make him. This is not the best way to make him. This is just my own variation on him, and I would love it if you leave me in the comments below what you think of the call, if you made any changes, if you made them differently. There's a great mod scene out there too, and again, I'm just running the translation patch on this game. I'm not running any mods, so this is still technically the vanilla version of the game, just with a ROM patch on it to do the translation. But there's a great mod scene out there where they've, put Tanahashi's face and his actual tights, that says like the ace on it and everything like that. Very cool. So make sure you check that stuff out too. But yeah, let me know what you think. As always, when I do these created wrestlers in Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, in WWF No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, I always like to follow it up with a match. And I'm playing against Yuji Nagata because there's significance there, there's history there between Tanahashi and Yuji Nagata. And I'm going to talk about that because the one thing that spurred me to finally get around to making Okada, like I did in my last video, and Tanahashi, not only am I just huge fans of them and I've been wanting to make them in a while, but you know, we're coming up, and I talked about this in my Okada video, we're coming up on Wrestling Dantaku in May, and Tanahashi and Okada are once again going to be fighting for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Okada is smashing records. He is the longest rating IWGP Heavyweight Champion, you know, not just for combined total of days, but individual days. And he just recently tied Tanahashi's record of most title defenses while IWGP champion. They are both tied for 11. Okada defeating Zack Sabre Jr. at the winner of the New Japan Cup at Sakura Genesis. And of course, as soon as he defeated him, Tanahashi came out, and there's history there going all the way back to 2012. And I talked about it in my Okada video, but the Tanahashi-Okada feud is what got me all fired up again about Japanese wrestling and wrestling in general. You know, in like the mid 2000s, you know, going almost into the 2010s, I was busy with a lot of other things and I wasn't following wrestling as much. I was just kind of like always sort of aware of it, keeping eye on certain names and stuff like that. And I had heard about Tanahashi a little bit, but I didn't really have access to watch a lot of the stuff. But around that time is when I started getting a hold of that stuff again and watching their matches from New Japan. And it was right when Okada came back and won the title from Tanahashi, and I fell in love with Japanese wrestling all over again. It always had a special place in my heart from growing up, and especially with Okada and especially with Tanahashi. So I figured now's better time than ever to make Tanahashi, and I had a lot of fun making this call. You know, you can do a really great moveset for Tanahashi in this game. Obviously, you have the high fly flow, which is his frog splash. You have the Texas Cloverleaf. I gave him a bunch of different dragon screws. I gave him both because there's two versions of the dragon screw in this game. For the strong grapple, there's like the quick version and the slow version, and then there's also the front special, which is the double dragon screw, and there's even two versions of that. And there you see I'm doing the flying cross chop. They don't have the flying elbow smash, which is like what Jericho does in No Mercy, so I chose the flying cross chop sort of as a substitute for that. Obviously, they got the dragon suplexes. I have his drop kicks to the legs down there. I gave him that version. There's a few other versions you can do. I gave him the Michinoku driver to substitute for the 12-6. Because it's basically like sort of like a cradle Michinoku driver, so they don't have that. And for the turnbuckle, flying off the turnbuckle, I gave him the frog splash as both his special and his regular turnbuckle attack. Sometimes he does a flipping senton. They have a regular senton in this game, but I like to be able to do the frog splash from anywhere, and that's the beauty of Tanahashi when he wrestles. His moveset, if you really think about it, his moveset is pretty simplistic. It's not too flashy. It's just the way he does it. There's just an aura about the way he does it. There's a way he does the frog splash. Not just when he does it to finish a match, but he does a frog splash when the person's standing. He does a frog splash to the person standing outside. To compensate for that, I gave him a flying cross body block. His sling blade is just basically a running, twisting, falling, sleeper drop. But it's something he sort of innovated, and something you see Finn Balor doing it all the time in WWE now, and Seth Rollins even does it. A lot of other wrestlers do it, but no one does it like Tanahashi, in my opinion. He's just, everything he does is just so smooth, so crisp. Even his cloverleaf. I love the way he does the cloverleaf. It's probably the best version of the cloverleaf since Dean Malenko used to do it. There's just something about Tanahashi that is hard to explain, hard to put into words. It really is that thing that a lot of people talk about with certain wrestlers, that they just have it. And not only do they just have it and whatever it is, but it's something that is just, you know, leaps and bounds over everyone else. You know, The Rock had it, Stone Cold Steve Austin had it, and Tanahashi has it. And that's why it's from when I first started really getting into his matches, I was instantly captivated. People who don't watch New Japan, I have friends all the time that I'm trying to get to watch New Japan or CMLL or, you know, Progress or Evolve, all these other promotions, and it never fails with someone like, you know, this is something I noticed when I would try to introduce people to Nakamura. There I go doing the frog splash to the back of Nagata. It was the same thing. People who had no idea who these people were, and instantly in one match would become a huge fan. And that's what Tanahashi is. And Tanahashi also helped New Japan come out of like a very dark place. You know, at the end of 1999 2000, you know, New Japan started struggling a bit. You know, a lot of their big stars were going towards the end of their careers, and Antonio Inoki was moving the company in a different direction. He wanted to go to like a shoot fighting style promotion because that's where his love was always in like MMA and shoot fighting. And it was considered like the dark times of New Japan. Financially, they were struggling. There weren't a lot of people coming to the shows. They didn't have a lot of top stars. All of the mixed martial artists people that were coming in just weren't getting over with the fans. It wasn't resonating with the fans. And Tanahashi, along with very much Nakamura, helped bring them back to what they are now. Tanahashi can really be credited, you know, with his rivalry with Nakamura, with Shibata, you know, as being part of the key group that helped usher New Japan into what it is today. And starting with Tanahashi's first IWGP win in 2006, it's just been the storytelling revolving around that championship and revolving around the high-level matches of New Japan have just been on such an other level. And I can't even think of a time, even myself as a wrestling fan for almost 30 years, of being so captivated by, you know, these matches over such a long period of time. You know, Tanahashi, he first won the title in 2006. He actually won it from a tournament final, defeating Giant Bernard. The title was vacated from Brock Lesnar, actually, because Brock Lesnar had the IWGP Championship, and then he bounced. He left the company. There was some sort of big dispute there. I'm not going to go into it, but it's because it's kind of complicated. But he had the title. He lost it to Nagata, but then would regain it from Nagata. And then he would lose the title to Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom 2 in 2008. And that was a big deal for Nakamura because Nakamura won the title a second time when he won at Wrestle Kingdom, but it was his first reign in over 5 years, and the first time he had it, you know, it was only 58 days long. And again, that was still during the dark ages sort of New Japan, you know, when they were really struggling. So it was a big coming out party for both Nakamura and Tanahashi at Wrestle Kingdom 2, solidifying them as the top stars of New Japan. And then Keiji Muto would win the title from Nakamura, and Tanahashi would defeat Muto at Wrestle Kingdom 3. He would drop the title briefly to Nakanishi, and it was Nakanishi's first title win after so many years. He finally won it in 2009 Dominion. But then Tanahashi would vacate the title after defeating Nakanishi at Dominion a couple of months later. The title would go back to Nakamura, then Maccabi, then Kojima, and Kojima and Tanahashi would have another great match at Wrestle Kingdom 5. So again, Tanahashi establishing himself, beating Nagata, beating Keiji Muto, beating Kojima, establishing himself as the new star, beating the former stars, the former aces of New Japan. Now Tanahashi's the ace. And that's when his reign started, where he had the most title defenses after beating Nagata at Wrestle Kingdom 5. And Nagata himself was the previous title holder for most title defenses, I should say, at 10. And he beat him and would then lose to Okada. And that's what makes this upcoming Okada-Tanahashi thing so magical. It's like, there's so many things that go into it. Tanahashi's reign was ended by Okada. And Okada didn't start his like great reign there. You know, he would lose it right back to Tanahashi, but that would start their feud. And they would main event Wrestle Kingdom 7, which Tanahashi would win. They would main event Wrestle Kingdom 9, which Tanahashi would win. And then they would main event Wrestle Kingdom 10 with Okada finally getting that big Wrestle Kingdom main event. They main evented 3 Wrestle Kingdoms. Their feud starting from 2012, they've only had 9 matches. And I'm not counting their one match in 2010 because that was kind of a one-off. And it wasn't the Okada we all know and love today. And 7 of those matches were all IWGP Heavyweight Championship matches. And the 2 other matches were at the G1, both which went to a time limit draw. I get goosebumps thinking about all those matches. If you haven't watched the series of Tanahashi and Okada matches, go watch them if you can before their upcoming match at Wrestling Dantaku. I don't know what's going to happen at Dantaku. I mean, my brain says that Okada's going to win, but my heart could go either way. It can go to Okada, it can go to Tanahashi. Like, how poetic would it be that Tanahashi beats Okada and the title reign gets tied between the both of them? If Okada wins, then he goes to Dominion. He's had the championship for 2 years. Who's gonna break that record? It's just so many amazing things. But again, I hope you enjoyed this call. I hope it spurs you to go watch some Tanahashi stuff. Check out my other calls, my other Let's Plays on Be Better Gamer Wrestling. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, I am Be Better Gamer, and until next time, keep watching all the wrestling.